Good morning, Your Honor. This is Laura Bretaña, Spanish interpreter.
Good morning again, Ms. Bertana. We are now at the BRC in Orange County, so we'll be doing it through the headset, which will make it a lot easier for you without all that noise. First case up is 21 CF 11445, Luis Antonio Ortiz. Good morning, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
Luis Ortiz, 6382.
Luis Ortiz, 6/13/82.
Public defender is appointed. Mr. Ortiz, you've been picked up as a result of aggravated assault with deadly weapon associated with domestic violence, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon as a second count, and battery domestic violence. Court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find there sufficient probable cause. It appears that you qualify for pretrial release. Is that as to all three charges?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Court will honor the pretrial release with the following conditions. You're to have absolutely no contact with Flor Santos and Leticia Alicio. No contact means no in-person contact, no third-party contact, no social media contact, no telephone contact, no contact whatsoever. Do you understand?
Sí, entiendo.
Yes, I understand.
You're not to return to 2212 Westfall Drive, and you're not to have any weapons or firearms. Thank you.
Ok. Gracias.
Your Honor,
Thank you.
I apologize, I don't recall, but is this a resident that he maybe have resided in?
I didn't get that from it, but. Sir, did you live at 2212?
No, yo me estaba mudando. Ese día yo estaba sacando mis cosas, mis pertenencias de la casa, porque yo había rentado otro un cuarto. Porque yo estaba yendo a.
Hold on, let her translate.
Well, yes, but that day I was moving out. I was there picking my
Object
things
to
up
that
because.
testimony. I can't hear her, sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Well, no, I was living there, but on that day I was just picking my things up because you see, I had already rented a room.
Did you get your items or not?
No, el oficial se las llevó para atrás y se las entregó a ellos.
No, the police officers gave them back to them.
You can go back one time with the assistance of law enforcement to obtain your personal property only, okay?
Está bien.
Fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wait.
Luis Gonzalez, 21 MM 5856. Good morning, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
Luis González, abril 2 de 93.
Luis Gonzalez, April 2nd, 1993.
Public defender is appointed. Sir, you've been picked up as a result of battery domestic violence. The court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find there's sufficient probable cause. You do not qualify for pretrial release. Bond will be set in the amount of $1,000. You're not to have any contact with Carla Rivera. No contact means no in-person contact, no third-party contact, no social media contact, no telephone contact, no contact whatsoever. Do you understand?
Sí.
Yes.
It appears that there's also an active injunction out of Connecticut. Unless that injunction is removed, you'll have to abide by all terms and conditions of the injunction. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
¿Cómo es? No entiendo. No.
Did I miss one? Okay. Hector LeBron Palazzo. 21 5867. Good morning, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
Héctor Lebrón Collazo, septiembre 16 del 59. 59.
Hector Lebron Collazo, September 16, 1959.
Public defender is appointed. Mr. Palazzo, you've been picked up as a result of domestic violence battery. The court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find there's sufficient probable cause. Do not qualify for pretrial release. The bond will be set in the amount of $1,000. You're not to return to 5045 Commander Drive. You can go back one time with law enforcement to obtain personal items. You're to have no hostile contact with Gilda Santiago. If you're around Miss Santiago and you feel that you're starting to get a little worked up, you can remove yourself from the situation. If you don't and police are called, you will be going to jail. Do you understand?
Sí.
Yes.
Pregunta.
I have a question.
Yes, sir?
Si yo soy el que pago todo en mi casa, ¿qué pasa con ella?
If I'm the one that pays everything at the house, what is going to happen with that?
Well, I can't tell you what you can and cannot do, except that you cannot return to the house. And if there's things that are in your name, you still have a responsibility to maintain those, but you're just not allowed to return to the house at this time.
Your Honor, even with the no hostile contact,
No. Tana, next one is 21 5890. Good morning, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
Hola, buenos días. Mi nombre es Alfonso Suárez Laborí, 12 de abril de 1990. Laborí. Sí, terminado en T. T de tomate.
My name is Alfonso Suarez Laburit. I was born on April 12, 1990.
Public defender is appointed. Sir, you've been picked up as a result of domestic violence battery. The court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find there's sufficient probable cause. It appears that you qualify for pretrial release, so the court will be granting that with the following conditions. You're not to have any contact with Montes de Oca. No in-person contact, no third-party contact, no social media contact, no telephone contact, no contact whatsoever. Do you understand?
Sí.
Yes.
You are to maintain separate residences. Thank you.
Your Honor, may we have a one-time assist in this case as well?
I don't actually have a physical address because it was a family gathering. So I don't believe they reside together. I'm just making it clear that they're not allowed to reside together if they do.
Thank you.
Ms. Bertana, next one is 21 MM 5887. Good morning, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
Raymond Wilson Jordán. Nací el 10 de mayo de 1996.
Raymond Wilson Jordan. I was born on May 10, 1996.
Sir, according to your affidavit, you do not qualify for the public defender. You also do not qualify for pretrial release. You've been picked up as a result of providing false ID to law enforcement officers. The court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find
I'm
there's.
sorry, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
I couldn't hear the charge.
Providing false ID to law enforcement.
Yo no sé por qué oí mi nombre bien.
No,
No
don't
sé
talk
por qué
about the
dicen que
case.
fue falso.
Yeah,
Don't
objection.
talk about the case.
Oh, yeah.
Bond to be set in the amount of $1,000. This is based on a warrant that I actually entered. I know you want to tell me what happened, but you really need to contact an attorney and have the attorney do that for you.
Your Honor, if I may, did he not qualify for the public defender due to financials?
Yes, ma'am, I have an application before me. He earns too much money.
And would the court entertain a lower bond amount?
No, ma'am. I gave the lowest I was going to give.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Your Honor, the state just wants to clarify, PC was found. I think you're cut off.
I can't hear you, Ms. Rivera.
PC was found in the case? Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
That initially. Thank you, Mr. Jordan. All right, is there any more Spanish before I let Ms. Bertana go? All right, we don't have any witnesses or victims that need the interpreter? Yeah. Ms. Bertana, can you just make an announcement to see if anyone in the gallery needs your services?
¿Alguna de las personas que se encuentra aquí en la sala necesita los servicios del intérprete al español?
Well, I'm not seeing any hands and I'm not seeing any movement. So, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Y ya me voy a la casa.
So I don't think that's Bruce. Are you Bruce? No? I'm sorry? Yeah. All right, then what we're going to do is we're going to appoint the public defender temporarily. Madam Public Defender, will you be waiving his appearance?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, the charges were battery committed, domestic battery by strangulation, aggravated battery on pregnant person. The court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find there's sufficient probable cause. It appears that he qualifies for pretrial release. He's to have no contact with the victim, Kendra Marrero, maintain separate residences, and no alcohol, no drugs, no weapons, no firearms.
Your Honor, was there alcohol in this affidavit? I don't recall that being an issue.
Thought I read something about it in the warrant. Hold on. No, but regardless, I'm ordering it. With these charges, he's lucky he's getting pretrial release.
I'm just going to, for the record, just defense would ask that that condition not be part of his conditional release as it wasn't an issue in the affidavit.
I understand. That objection be overruled. What What about Elijah Kraft? All right, well, I will be waiving his appearance. It appears he qualifies for pretrial release. His charges are robbery with a firearm. Actually, I misstated. He does not qualify. I know you're over there getting ready to have a heart attack, aren't you? You're like, wait. Charges are robbery with a firearm, kidnapping with a firearm. It's all based upon a warrant that was issued. Probable cause was previously found, and I have reviewed it as well. Bond on count 1 is set in the amount of $15,000. Count 2, the amount of $5,000. He's not to have any contact with victims, any co-defendants, or witnesses. He's not to possess any weapons or firearms.
Your Honor, is this a case that's going to be assigned to the Public Defender's Office?
I have no idea. I suppose if he does an application, you might get appointed.
Thank you.
Are you Miss Sears?
Yes,
Okay. I knew we'd get to you eventually. Can you state your name, please, and your date of birth?
Pamela says, January 15th, 1961.
Public defender is appointed. We have 2 cases here, so you're appointed in both cases. Ms. Sears, you've been picked up as a result of criminal mischief on 1 case. The court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find there is sufficient probable cause. I'm going to reduce the bond to $1,000. You're to have no contact with Bimal Patel, and you're not to return to 5206 Silver Star Road. Do you understand?
Yes,
That one is on 9837. And then with regard to 9652, it is the same charge. The court will be reducing it to a $1,000 bond. You're not to have any contact with Bimal Patel and no return to 5206 Silver Star Road. Do you understand?
yes, again.
Thank you. Good morning, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
Adrian James Coyne.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Adrian James Coyne.
What is your date of birth?
1989.
Thank you, sir. You're here for 2 cases today. The first one is violation of probation. There's no warrant on that. No warrant. There's no bond on that warrant. Sorry. Mr. Cohn, I don't see that you completed a public defender application. Do you not want their services?
I was gonna try to either get a paid attorney, but as of right now, I don't have the funds for it, but I guess I'll just get a public defender.
All right, well, here's what I'm going to do since you guessed that you want them. I'm going to temporarily appoint them for today's purposes only. If you do want their services, you will need to complete an affidavit. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
The second case is a battery. The court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find there is sufficient probable cause. Bond to be set in the amount of $500. You do not qualify for pretrial release. You're not to return to 6113 Jennings Road. And you're not to have any contact with Aramis. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Good morning, sir. State your name and date of birth, please. Did you hear me?
What was that, ma'am? Sorry.
Can you state your name and date of birth, please?
Edgardo Rivera,
And what's your date of birth?
12/23/1950.
Thank you, sir. Sir, you've been picked up as a result of a failure to appear in 20 CF 2734. There is no bond on that warrant. Thank you.
Your Honor, would the court entertain a bond in some sort?
Not today.
Thank you. Is this a public defender case? You don't, okay.
You guys were appointed in it
Oh, okay.
previously.
Thank you.
Good morning, ma'am. State your name and date of birth, please.
Lakeisha Bailey, 9/16/1975.
Thank you. Ma'am, you do not qualify for the public defender based upon the application that you completed.
Yes, ma'am.
You've been picked up as a result of aggravated battery and aggravated assault. You also do not qualify for pretrial release. Court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find there's sufficient probable cause. Bond to be set on count 1 in the amount of $3,500. Count 2, the amount of $1,500. You're not to have any contact with Demetrius Hill. No contact means no in-person contact, no third-party contact, no social media contact, no telephone contact, no contact whatsoever. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You're also to maintain separate residences, okay? Thank you. Good morning. State your name and date of birth, please.
Morning, Jacqueline Johnson, 12/28/1972.
Jacqueline Johnson?
Your Honor, she's number 6 under felony domestic violence.
That doesn't help me.
Oh,
Okay, I'm all the way back here. She is in between Vanessa Seidel and Richard Jarvis.
If you give me 1 second, I'll get Colbert.
I'll do her real quick while she's here. I found it. Ma'am, you do qualify for the public defender. You've been picked up as a result of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and domestic violence battery. Apparently, you qualify for pretrial release, so the court will honor that. You're not to have any, oh. Who? Is that for Jacqueline Johnson?
No, that's a lineman.
Okay. You're not to have any contact with Richard Mitchell. No contact means no in-person contact, no third-party contact, no social media contact, no telephone contact, no contact whatsoever. Do you understand?
Yes.
Thank you. That's all right.
Maintain separate residence, or?
He doesn't live there, according to the report.
Oh, it came in as the same address for us.
Yes, separate residence, but that's not what I read. I didn't read that they actually live together, so. We'll just throw you some more curveballs. Thank you. Good morning, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
Ken Colbert, January 15th, 1986.
Thank you. Public defender is appointed. Sir, you've been picked up on a couple of matters. The first is domestic violence battery. Court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find there's sufficient probable cause. You do not qualify for pretrial release. A bond will be set in the amount of $1,000. You're not to return to 5962 Westgate Drive, and you're not to have any contact with Mariana Rodriguez. No contact means no in-person contact, no third-party contact.
Your Honor, if I may, we do have a victim here.
Oh, I'm sorry. State your name, please.
Mariana Rodriguez.
And Ms. Rodriguez, this is the time for you to tell the court what it is that you would like to see with regard to restrictions
Okay,
on
I
his
don't
release.
have-
It is not a time for you to talk about what happened or what did not happen. And after I've heard from you, I will make my determination. So what is it that you would like the court to know?
I don't have any issues with him at all. I never told the police
Okay,
officer
I
that.
told you, this is not a time to talk about the facts of the case.
Okay,
I've
so-
already found probable cause based on the affidavit that the officers have provided.
But I never said anything about him putting his hands on me, so I don't understand where they got the charge for battery, because that was never anything that happened. So that's why I'm confused as to why he got
You can
arrested.
speak with the state attorney's
We
office.
still live together and we
Not
work
anymore.
together. So, well, he's not allowed to come to my house
Not
anymore?
allowed to come to your house. He's not allowed to have any contact with you.
Even if I'm okay with talking to him?
Not until further order of the court.
Your Honor, may defense inquire with this?
You can, but I'm not going to change my ruling.
I guess for the record, are you in fear of?
Not at all, no.
Okay, and do you desire to have contact with him?
Yes, I do. Very much so. Yes. We work together. We've been together for 3 years. We're building a company together. We have to be in contact.
Is it necessary to be in contact with him because you guys do work together?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't have anything further. I don't know if state wants to inquire.
No, Your Honor.
Your Honor, we would just be asking for no hostile contact at this time, as they do work together, and that would be an issue he would be violating if they're working together.
They should not have come here today then. It will be denied. If you'd like to file a proper motion and have a full evidentiary hearing, you're more than welcome to, but I am not changing the no contact requirement. Okay. And you're not to return to the home. You can go back one time with the assistance of law enforcement to obtain your personal items. Yeah. And then there's also a violation of probation as a result. There's 0 bond on that.
I apologize, Your Honor, I didn't hear that last part.
There's a violation of probation being charged as well. And there's 0 bond on that.
I didn't see an affidavit for there, or warrant for that. I apologize, and actually, I didn't get any information on this defendant today. May I approach?
You may.
Thank you.
Yes. As a result of the DV charge. Counsel, when you're finished, I need that affidavit back.
Your Honor, may I approach with the, thank you.
Thank you. State your name and date of birth, please.
Adjacent counsel, 05/24/2002.
Public defender is appointed. Sir, you've been picked up as a result of aggravated battery on a pregnant person involving domestic violence. The court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find that there's sufficient probable cause. Bond to be set in the amount of $1,000. You're not to have any contact with Mia Marine. No contact means no in-person contact, no third-party contact, no social media contact, no telephone contact, no contact whatsoever. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You're also not to return to 9429 Emily Loop. You can go back one time with the assistance of law enforcement to obtain any personal items that you have. With regard to the disorderly conduct, the court will be taking no action.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
I apologize, Your Honor, you said $1,000?
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
Tavion Gibbons, 07/17/2002.
Mr. Givens, I don't have a public defender application here for you. Did you want them to be appointed?
I thought my mom had came with a lawyer, I believe. I'm not really sure.
I haven't been told about one. What I'll do is I'll temporarily appoint the public defender to represent you for the purpose of IAs today. But if you're going to want their services, you will need to complete an application, okay?
Okay. How do I do that?
All right, sir, you've been picked up as a result of aggravated assault with a firearm, battery committing domestic violence by strangulation, tampering with witness to hinder commission to law enforcement officers, false imprisonment, domestic violence battery, and carrying a concealed firearm. Court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find sufficient probable cause as to each of the charges. You do not qualify for pretrial release. Bond will be set as follows. Count 1, $1,500. Count 2, $1,000. Count 3, $1,000. Count 4, $1,000. Count 5, $1,000. Count 6, $500. You're not to return to 2139 West Gore Street. You're to have no contact with Amelia Hodges or Janice Hodges, and you're not to possess any weapons or firearms.
Can I say something?
It's best that you don't, but you're welcome to. Everything is
not
being
for this.
recorded.
It's not for this, love. It's I had, I believe, something going on in St. Lucie. They told me they was supposed to bring it here. Oh, I'm sorry.
He has a failure to appear for driving with suspended license. It has a bond of $10,000, Your Honor.
$10,000?
Yes.
For what county?
St. Lucie.
We don't have that information.
It's a hold. He hasn't been served over.
Oh, okay. Wow, $10,000. Right, right. Counsel, they'll probably recall him tomorrow on that, just because we don't have that information, so he hasn't been served with it yet.
Oh, he hasn't been served with it yet. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
Richard Jarvis, 7682.
Jarvis, I show that you are here for 2 cases. Oh, there's the other one. I'm like, where is it? Public defender is appointed. First case is battery domestic violence. Court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find there's sufficient probable cause. You do not qualify for pretrial release. Bond to be set in the amount of $1,500. You're not to return to 2446 Saper Court. You're not to have any contact with Diana Caraballo. No contact means no in-person contact, no third-party contact, no social media contact, no telephone contact, no contact whatsoever. Do you understand?
Yes.
You're not to possess or consume any alcohol or drugs. And then the next case is a violation of probation as a result thereof. I'm finding sufficient probable cause and bond is set at 0.
On that VOP,
Yes, sir.
I was under not the assumption, but I was aware that I was finished with that probation, that my last visitation was this month.
We have a completion date of September 9th, 2021.
September 9th, that's what, 3 weeks from now?
That's the date the pretrial release has for it being finished.
Okay. So would that court date be a different court date than this one?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Would that court date be a different court? Would it be 2 different court dates? So my violation hearing, you would set that today?
No, sir, I'm not setting it today. It'll be provided to the judge. They'll be provided information that you have gotten an on-view violation for probation, and then they will set that according to their own docket.
Okay.
Okay?
And I don't have a court date for this yet, for the domestic.
I'm sorry, I've got this blowing over here. I can't hear you. I apologize.
Just inquiring on a court date for the domestic violence, but Orange County,
We don't have that at this time. It'll be assigned later, okay? Good morning, ma'am. State your name and date of birth, please.
My name is Vanessa Cedel. My date of birth is May 17, 1976.
Public defender is appointed.
I'm sorry?
I said public defender is appointed.
I don't understand.
Do you not know what that means?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Ma'am, you've been picked up as a result of domestic violence battery. The court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find there is sufficient probable cause. It appears that you qualify for pretrial release, so the court will be granting that with the following conditions. You are not to return to 314 Penny Royal Lane. You can go back one time with the assistance of law enforcement to obtain your personal items. You're not to have any contact with Daniel, is it Galelli?
Yeah, it's Galelli.
No contact means no in-person contact, no third-party contact, no social media contact, no telephone contact, no contact whatsoever. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
okay. Your Honor, she needs to leave the residence.
Yes,
And I didn't hear if you had a one-time assist for her.
I said she
Thank you.
did.
Thank you. Okay.
Ma'am, they're ready for you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, ma'am. State your name and date of birth, please.
Great Charlie de la Paz, 8395.
Public defender is appointed. Ma'am, you've been picked up as a result of battery domestic violence. The court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find there's sufficient probable cause. You do not qualify for pretrial release.
Your Honor, she does qualify. We're just waiting for her fingerprints to clear.
Oh. 'Cause
It's at the-
that guy said she did not.
It's at the bottom.
Bond to be set in the amount of $1,000. You're not to have any hostile contact with Daniel Gonzalez. If you feel you're starting to get aggravated, Mr. Gonzalez, I'll talk to you in just a moment. If you feel you're starting to get aggravated, you need to remove yourself from the situation, because if you don't, you'll be coming back to jail. Do you understand?
Yes.
Sir, can you state your name, please?
Daniel Gonzalez.
And Mr. Gonzalez, this is the time for you to tell me what kind of release restrictions you would like me to impose. You just heard me say no hostile contact, which means I'm allowing contact, but she can't get mad at you or yell at you or anything like that. Is there something else you would like me to consider?
Okay, I'm good.
All right. Additionally, you're not to have any alcohol or drugs.
And that's no for pretrial release.
I'm sorry?
That's no for pretrial release, Your Honor.
Well, if she qualifies, yes.
She does.
Otherwise, it's $1,000 and pretrial release, both.
So $1,000 plus pretrial release?
Yes, pretrial release with bond. Mr. Gonzalez, that's it for this case. Thank you. Good afternoon, ma'am. State your name and date of birth, please.
Brunella Denegri, January 2nd, 1997.
Public defender is appointed. Sir, can you state your name, please?
Ryan Johnson.
And Mr. Johnson, you just heard me tell Mr. Gonzalez, this is the time for you to tell me what kind of release restrictions you would like to see. That does not mean I'm going to order them, but it's with regard to what you think might be appropriate. It's not a time to talk about the case or the facts of the case. So
I'm sorry, can you speak a little bit louder because I can barely hear you?
Is that better?
That's a lot better.
Okay. I've never been accused of being quiet. This is a time for you to tell the court what kind of release restrictions you would like to see imposed. I'm not required to impose them because I will impose them based upon my interpretation of what I have reviewed and what I hear. It is not a time to talk about the case, about what has happened or what did not happen, but only with regard to what you would like since you were the victim. With that in mind, what would you like me to consider?
I have no restrictions. Just want to have her home.
Well, I appreciate that, but unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do that.
Your Honor, may we elicit testimony from this witness?
Yes, you can.
Are you in any fear of her?
I'm not.
And you guys live in the same home?
Yes.
Do you share any children?
No.
Is your desire to have her back home?
Correct.
Is your desire to have contact with her?
Yes.
Is it your home or her home?
It's mine. She goes home once a week, so she's not there consistently, but we made plans to live together.
Okay. I don't have anything further, thank you.
All right, ma'am, you've been picked up as a result of domestic violence battery. The court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I do find that there's sufficient probable cause. It appears you qualify for pretrial release, so the court will grant the pretrial release without a bond. However, you're not to have any contact with Ryan Johnson. No contact means no in-person contact, no third-party contact, no social media contact, no telephone contact, no contact whatsoever. Additionally, you're not to return to 8005. Is it Balsandanas?
No, it's Balasan.
Thank you, sir. Does she have personal items there?
She does.
You can go back one time with the assistance of law enforcement to obtain your personal items only. Can this be modified? Yes, but you would have to file a motion with the trial court and have it heard at an evidentiary hearing.
And Your Honor, may we just put on the record that defense would be requesting contact, as the victim did come to court today, and he did testify that he's not in fear of her and would like her to return home. I would just be asking for no hostile contact at this time.
It's duly noted that request will be denied. Even in the affidavit, she admitted to pushing him, so. Thank you, sir.
Can I say something?
Well, we're finished now, but you can.
So if I'm going to go to the courthouse tomorrow to dismiss the charges, how would that work with this?
So you can contact the state attorney's office and speak with one of their let me come back over here. You can contact the state attorney's office and speak with one of their victim advocates. At this point, it's up to them on whether charges will actually be filed or not. So you can express that you don't want to pursue it, but they will make the determination on whether it's actually pursued or not. Okay?
I suppose.
All right. Thank you, sir. I don't want to move the mic. Good afternoon, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
Luis Gonzalez Jr., 3/12/61.
Thank you. And sir, state your name, please. Oh, put the mask back on, please.
I'm sorry, Luis Gonzalez Jr.
Are you junior or are you third?
Sorry, I'm just nervous. Luis Gonzalez III. I apologize, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. See? Public defender is appointed. Sir, you've been picked up as a result of battery domestic violence. Court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find there's sufficient probable cause. Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am, sorry.
This is a time for you to tell the court what you would like to see with regard to restriction releases, or, yes.
I would like that there to be like, I would still be able to have contact with my father because I just started enrolled in college for Seminole State for video game design, and he currently is the owner of the house. He pays for all the bills. I don't have any other family to live with, so without him, I would be homeless and without school, and I just really want to continue going to school. I love him with all my heart, and I really don't. I'm not scared of him at all. I don't want any of this to happen. I just really want to go to school.
Well, just so that we're clear, you wouldn't be thrown out of the house anyway. He would. I just want you to understand that.
I don't want that to happen. I don't want nothing to happen to him.
Your Honor, may we elicit testimony briefly?
Also, I don't think it's going to be necessary.
Okay. Thank you.
He does qualify for pretrial release. The court will be granting the pretrial release without a bond. There is to be no hostile contact with Luis Gonzalez III. Sir, if you feel you're starting to get aggravated with your son, you need to remove yourself from the situation. If you do not and the police are called, you will be coming back to jail. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. He'll be coming home, but there will be no arguments between the two of you, okay?
Yes, ma'am. I would. Nothing will happen. Thank you so much, Your Honor. Have a great day.
Welcome.
That's so cute. She gave him a high five when he got out. Good afternoon, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
Condola Hicks, date of birth January 26, 1979.
Public defender is appointed. Sir, you've been picked up as a result of domestic violence battery. The court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find there's sufficient probable cause. It appears you qualify for pretrial release, so the court will be granting that without a bond. The conditions, however, are that you're not allowed to return to 2422 Dardanelle Drive. You can go back one time with the assistance of law enforcement to obtain your personal items. You're not to have any contact with Marcisha Hicks. No contact means no in-person contact, no third-party contact, no social media contact, no telephone contact, no contact whatsoever. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And you are to maintain separate residences. Thank you. Good afternoon, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
David Holzhauer, August 6, 1989.
Public defender is appointed. Sir, you've been picked up as a result of domestic violence battery. The court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find there's sufficient probable cause. You do not qualify for pretrial release. Bond will be set in the amount of $1,000. You're not to have any contact with Jason Zendanwitz, and you're also to maintain separate residences. Do you understand?
No. I'm not gonna be able to bond now. No. I don't have $1,000. Please. No, please. Please.
For the record,
Please.
defense will just be asking if the court would entertain lower bond amount, more affordable, or ROR.
Denied.
Thank you, Your Honor.
No, please.
I don't think the defendant's clear on his conditions
It'll
at
be
this
on his
time.
order.
I didn't hear you, Your Honor.
It will be on his order.
Thank you. And just so defense knows, it was no return, no contact.
Contact and maintain separate residences.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Oh, no return. I apologize. Yeah. Good afternoon, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
Jacob Stevenson Maple, 10/21/1997.
Public defender is appointed. Sir, you've been picked up as a result of battery, dating violence. The court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find there's sufficient probable cause. It appears that you qualify for pretrial release. Part of that conditions of your pretrial release will be no contact with Kylie Kramer. No contact means no in-person contact, no third-party contact, no social media contact, no telephone contact, no contact whatsoever. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
William McMurrin, 10/28/68.
Thank you, sir. Public defender is appointed. Sir, you've been picked up as a result of battery, dating violence. The court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find there's sufficient probable cause. You do not qualify for pretrial release. Bond to be set in the amount of $1,000. You're not to have any contact with Heather Buford. No contact means no in-person contact, no third-party contact, no social media contact, no telephone contact, no contact whatsoever. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You're not returned to the home. Additionally, you are to maintain separate residences. Do you understand? Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, ma'am. State your name and date of birth, please.
Stephanie Munoz, 42488.
Thank you. Public defender is appointed. Ma'am, you've been picked up as a result of battery domestic violence. The court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find there's sufficient probable cause. You qualify for pretrial release. Part of the conditions of your pretrial release will be to have no contact with Brandy Petrelli. No contact means no in-person contact, no third-party contact, no social media contact, no telephone contact, no contact whatsoever. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
According to the affidavit, Ms. Petrelli was moving out. I will also require that you maintain separate residences, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there a one-time assist if she's in the process of moving out or she did move out?
In reading the affidavit, she was moving out, and that's when the altercation occurred. No, it's her place.
It's my house.
I didn't tell her not to return.
Oh, got it, okay. Thank you.
I can go there today and pick up stuff.
It's her
It's your
place.
place, so you don't have to
Brandy
leave.
was moving out.
Got it. Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Good afternoon, ma'am. State your name and date of birth, please.
Tricia Michelle Smith, and 1475.
Ms. Smith, I don't see that you completed a public defender application. Are you going to be hiring your own attorney?
Yes.
Okay. You've been picked up as a result of battery domestic violence. The court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find there's sufficient probable cause. Ma'am, can you state your name, please?
Yes, Esmeralda Martinez.
And Ms. Martinez, this is the time for you to tell the court what kind of release restrictions you would like to see. It does not mean that's what I'm going to order, but this is an opportunity for you to be heard. It is also not a time to talk about what did or did not happen, okay?
Thank you.
With that in mind, what would you like the court to consider?
My wife suffers from schizophrenia. That's probably why she didn't get a prosecutor or anything. She really can't afford to get an attorney for her. So I did, mention that to the officers. I just really want her to get some mental health because that's what she needs right now. I've been trying to get her to see her psychiatrist, Dr. Segundo Emberbag. She's also delusional because of her schizophrenia.
I'm going to object, non-responsive. This is about condition releases. She wants contact or not?
I do want to contact my wife. I love my wife very much. I just want her to come home and be safe.
Pretrial release, does she qualify for mental health PTR or anything of that nature?
Our mental health PTR is screened by mental health, so she would have to go through an evaluation before she's approved or not.
All right, well, for today's purposes, all I have is pretrial release. That will be granted. There's not going to be any contact, though.
No contact? I live there.
Your Honor.
Actually, you're not returning to the home.
What do you mean? No, I'm returning to the home.
No,
I
ma'am.
never signed this.
I'm making a ruling that you are not returning to the home.
Where am I returning?
Your
Honor, we would be asking if there's no hostile contact put in place. The victim did say that she wanted her mother to come home. In addition, this is a mental health client.
It's her wife, not her mother.
Wife, I apologize, sorry. Her wife. In addition, this is a mental health client, so.
Well, we don't know that for certain.
I know. I do know that.
Hold on.
All right, I have made my ruling.
Understood.
You can always file a motion. But just so that my ruling is clear, there's to be no contact with Esmeralda. You're not to return to 1820 Richmond Street. You can go back one time with the assistance of law enforcement to obtain your personal items.
If I may, Your Honor, she doesn't have any family or any other place to go to. This is her home.
I understand, ma'am. But given the circumstances, I'm not allowing her to return to the home at this time.
Where's she supposed to go, on the streets?
Ma'am, I've made my ruling. Thank you.
Hey, and thank you, we'll go there. You can take me there.
Ma'am, you can step forward. State your name and date of birth, please.
Teresa Taylor, 06/22/1975.
Thank you. Public defender is appointed. Ma'am, you've been picked up as a result of domestic violence battery. The court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find there's sufficient probable cause. You do qualify for pretrial release, so the court will grant that. You are not to return to 5425 Bobby Street. You can go back one time with the assistance of law enforcement to obtain your personal items. You're to have no contact with Tiffany Pricknick. No contact means no in-person contact, no third-party contact, no social media contact, no telephone contact, no contact whatsoever. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Michelle Williams is medical, Your Honor.
Reset for 24 hours after her release, please.
And also,
Then what about Ashley Allen?
actually, Alan is bonded.
Oh, okay. Ashley bonded. And then is this Carlos? You can step to the microphone, sir.
And Your Honor, Carlos did sign a shutdown form, and if I can approach the clerk, I can hand that to her. Thank you.
Okay. I mean, I don't want them to anyway. I always tell people not to. State your name and date of birth, please.
Carlos Arriaga, September 24, 2001.
Thank you. Public defender is appointed. Sir, you've been picked up as a result of burglary of a dwelling with assault and battery. Additionally, there's an aggravated battery with great bodily
Your Honor,
harm.
he's a shutdown.
Oh, sorry. How about you say, I waive the reading?
I apologize.
Court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find there's sufficient probable cause for the 3 charges. He does not qualify for pretrial release. Bond to be set on count 1 in the amount of $1,000. Count 2, $2,500. Count 3, $2,500. There's to be no contact with Antonio Ward. No contact means no in-person contact, no third-party contact, no social media contact, no telephone contact, no contact whatsoever. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You're not to return to 2019 North Hiwassee Road. Thank you.
Antonio Brown refused.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll be waiving his appearance.
Your Honor, there's a PC argument for this case.
I'm sorry?
There's a PC argument for this case.
Oh, really? You can proceed. I mean,
Defense is going to argue the probable cause issue in this case. I believe this case has 50 charges. Is that correct?
it has several.
There's several defendants in this case, and there was guns and ammunition spread out throughout a hotel room. There isn't anything showing that it was Mr. Brown's gun or that the ammunition belonged to him. In addition, with the drug charges as well, the drugs were not on him, and there were several other people in the room. So defense would just argue the lack of probable cause that it was, all these things belong to Mr. Brown.
State, do you have a response?
Yes, Your Honor. I believe in the arrest affidavit, it states that one of the guns that was located, the Glock 19 Gen 5, was actually involved in a home invasion that the defendant was also involved in another case he was involved in. Also, there is an argument for constructive possession of the firearm and the ammunition that was found in the room that the defendant was present in.
And to just respond briefly, the other case that it was connected to is still a speculative situation. It's not exactly pointing that this belonged to Mr. Brown.
So the threshold for probable cause is much less than beyond a reasonable doubt. The court's going to find probable cause with regard to each and every one of these counts. Bond will be stayed in each one of them. I'm not going to go down the line on each and every one of them. But I am finding probable cause. Public defender was appointed by the application. Yeah, he did an application. Yeah, I waived his appearance. No, he refused. Yeah, he refused. He did fill out the PD application. He's not to possess any weapons or firearms. Good afternoon, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
Gregory Brown.
And Your Honor, we'd be waiving the readings and also PC challenge on this case as well, as to count two.
Well, counsel, I don't see that you guys even have an affidavit.
For purposes of IAs, public defender is allowed to represent all defendants. That's per the
I
statute.
understand that. Mr. Brown, are you asking for the public defender to represent you today?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you intend on having them represent you in the future?
No, ma'am, I'm gonna get a lawyer. If
All right. Well, if you're going to get a lawyer, you need to make sure you do that before your next hearing.
Yes, ma'am.
Public defender will be temporarily appointed as to initial appearances only. You understand what you've been charged with?
Yeah, not really, but I understand.
Okay, so if you're going to say not really, I have to say what you're being charged with.
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
So you do understand what you're being charged with?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, counsel, you wanted to make a probable cause?
Probable cause argument on count two, defense would just argue that the officer never checked to see if this defendant had a valid permit to carry. I just charged him with the charge and kind of assumed that he didn't have a valid permit. There was nothing indicating that he checked to see if there was one or if there wasn't one.
State, do you have a response?
The state would just say that if the defendant did have a license or permit to carry, then he could have easily have informed the officer and he wouldn't be here today. The state would just defer to the court's ruling in this matter.
And defense would just argue it's not the position of the client to have to tell the officer anything.
All right, so here's what we'll do. We'll reset it for 24 hours. State, I want a supplement from the officer as to whether they inquired that there was a concealed permit or not.
Yes, Your Honor.
But as for count one, PC's being found. He qualifies for pretrial release. There's to be no contact with Anthony Woods and no contact with Nitza Guadalupe. But for count two, we're going to roll it over to tomorrow for a PC determination.
Your Honor, that would then require my client to have to stay another night. Typically, there's either a PTR bond given and it's up to the client whether they want to bond out or wait till tomorrow.
Well, counsel, you've made a PC challenge. So if you don't want to make a PC challenge and you want me to find PC today, I'm willing to set a bond. If you don't want me to find PC today, then we're rolling it till tomorrow.
I would have to consult with my client if I can have a moment.
Consult with him then.
We would just be asking for, well, does he qualify for PTR in count two? Would that just be PTR all around?
PTR on count one, counsel.
He qualifies for a direct PTR.
I would not be ordering it on count two. It's a question of PC or no PC.
No
Are you making
PC,
the-
or-
Are you making the challenge or not?
No. No, Your Honor.
Mr. Brown, being that they're representing you for IAs only, do you agree to withdraw your claim for a probable cause challenge as to count 2?
Can you help me better understand, please? I don't really understand.
So in these kinds of situations, it's up to the judge to determine whether there's probable cause or not. The attorney has argued on your behalf that there's no probable cause with regard to the concealed weapon charge because she claims that no one made any effort to determine whether you have a concealed weapons license or not, okay? Since she has made that claim, I'm wanting to reset this case 24 hours to allow the officers to update their affidavit to provide that information. If they can't provide that information, then a ruling would be made. And if probable cause is not found, then you would be ROR'd on that charge. But if probable cause is found, then the judge at that time would make a determination on what your release restrictions would be. Counsel is now stating that they don't want to make that charge because they don't particularly want to have you held over another night.
No.
But you have to tell me that that's what you want to do.
Yes, ma'am. I want a bond.
You waive your right to make that probable cause challenge as to count 2, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Bond to be set in the amount of $1,500 as to count 2.
And pretrial release on count 1, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor,
I'm finding PC as to count 2 because he's now waived the challenge. His PTR on count 1. Count 2 has a bond of $1,500. No possession of weapons or firearms.
Your Honor, we would be asking for bond reduction in count 2.
I already reduced it from what was actually on the affidavit. Good afternoon. State your name and date of birth, please.
Destiny Jackson, June 20th, 1999.
Thank you. Public defender is appointed. Ms. Jackson, you've been picked up on a couple of items. The first is possession of fentanyl, possession of butylone, possession of controlled substance, possession of cannabis, and possession of drug paraphernalia. Court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I do find that there is probable cause. You do not qualify for pretrial release. Bond on that case for count 1 will be $1,000, count 2, $150, count 3, $150, count 4, $100, and count 5, $100. The second case is possession of cannabis and possession of drug paraphernalia. Court is finding probable cause based upon my review of the charging affidavit. Bond to be set on count 1 in the amount of $500, count 2 the amount of $100. You're not to possess or consume any alcohol or drugs. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So, what is my bond?
This one. Good afternoon, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
Jaquan Livingston, 090294.
And Your Honor, Mr. Livingston did sign
You're waiving a
thumb
reading
form,
of the
so we'll be
charges?
waiving the readings today.
Thank you. Public defender is appointed. Sir, do you understand what you've been charged with?
I read it on the paper, yes, ma'am.
All right, as long as you understand what you've been charged with. Court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I do find that there's sufficient probable cause. It appears that you qualify for pretrial release. You're to have no contact with Anthony Woods or Nitsa Guadalupe. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Right. Good Good afternoon, ma'am. State your name and date of birth, please.
Kaylee Summer Cloud, January 17th, 1997.
Thank you. Public defender is appointed. Ma'am, you've been picked up for 3 counts of possession. There's possession of tetrahydrocannabinol. Oh my goodness. That's almost as bad as prazolam that I can't ever say. And possession of drug paraphernalia. The court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find that there is sufficient probable cause. Bond to be set on count 1 in the amount of $1,000. Count 2, $150. Count 3, $100. You're not to possess or consume any alcohol or drugs. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
Michael Conway, Knopfsinger, 7/28/79.
Do you know if PD was already appointed in this case? PD was previously appointed. Sir, you've been picked up on a warrant for failure to appear. There's 2 counts. Each of them are set at 0 bond. Thank you. And counsel, we're going to take a 5-minute break. I'm just going to sit right here.
Okay. You're in the feeling. She gotta go.
Good afternoon, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
June 8, 1986.
I'm sorry, can you speak into the microphone?
June 8, 1986.
And your name?
All sincere.
Thank you. Public defender is appointed. Sir, you've been picked up as a result of driving while license revoked as a habitual offender. Court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find that there's sufficient probable cause. You do not qualify for pretrial release. Bond to be set in the amount of $2,500. Also appears that you are out on pretrial diversion for 19 CF 8833. The court will take no action. And we are also out on bond for driving while license suspended as a habitual offender as a second. Court will be taking action on that, revoking it. It's for 21 CT 3643, bond to be set at 0.
Would Your Honor entertain a bond in any form for the revoked Willis, as it is a driving charge?
Given that we've had the same exact charge yet another time, no.
And then on the charge itself, defendant would like to ask if we could have a bond reduction on that.
Nope, it's a felony at this point.
Thank you.
No, keep your mask on, please. State your name and date of birth, please.
06/10/97.
And your name?
My name is Ulysses.
Thank you.
I don't have him on the list. I don't have him on my list.
Was PD previously appointed in this case? Mhm. If qualifies. Trial release, does he qualify for mental health PTR or no?
He will be screened by mental health department.
All right, well, according to the warrant that he's been picked up on, the bond is mental health PTR.
Did you
And
want
if
to?
he- And if he doesn't qualify, then the division is to be contacted within 2 business days. Because he failed to appear for his evaluation.
Did you want to set a bond in the alternative that he doesn't qualify for mental health pretrial?
No, because it'll be set in front of the trial judge. They're to be contacted within 2 business days.
Okay.
Yeah. The best practice, honestly, would be for your office to get the evaluator here and just get the evaluation done for that judge.
Does he have a bond at least for today?
No.
Is it an FTA? It doesn't say on
It's
my
a warrant.
documents.
If he qualifies as mental health PTR. But if he doesn't qualify, then the division is to be contacted within 2 days and notified.
But he's here on a trespass, so he would be entitled to
He's here on
bond.
a warrant.
Okay,
I will read the warrant exactly to you.
thank you.
Revoke release, ROR, bond conditions, mental health pretrial release. If defendant does not qualify, please notify the division and PD within 2 business days. Defendant failed to appear for his evaluation in May.
Thank you.
So he needs to be evaluated, or the division judge be notified within 2 days that he's here.
Any action on his open case?
I'm sorry?
Any action on his out on bond, his
No.
RR?
And I just want to ask quickly, like, is there a reason why PTR with mental health was not done for him?
He will be screened by a mental health department. They come in Monday through Friday, so.
Okay, thank you.
out of, okay. Good afternoon, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
Corey Michael Mendoza, July 3rd, 1985.
Thank you. Public defender is appointed. Sir, you've been picked up on a warrant for possession of drug paraphernalia and trespass, structure, or conveyance. If you've reviewed the warrant, probable cause is previously found, but I agree with probable cause determination. You do not qualify for pretrial release. Bond to be set on count 1 in the amount of $500, count 2 the amount of $1,000. You're not to return to the scene, and you're not to possess or consume any alcohol or drugs.
Your Honor, I apologize if you already stated this, but was the public defender's office assigned?
Yes, ma'am?
Thank you.
Can you come back? Can you bring him back?
Yeah, no, I saw it. Now I'm looking to see who the victim was. Because I've read so many. I don't see that there's any allegations in this warrant about anything with regard to direct contact with the victim, so it's just no return to the Park Lake Presbyterian Church. Correct. But there isn't truly an in-person victim. All right, sorry about that, sir. I just needed to clarify whether there was an in-person victim or not, and there's not an in-person victim, so you're good to go. Thank you. Afternoon, ma'am. State your name and date of birth, please.
Alicia Hutchinson, August the 22nd, 1989.
Do we know if she had the public defender for this case? Yes. Public defender was previously appointed. Ma'am, you're before the court today on a failure to appear. There's a $2,000 bond on that.
Yeah. You can call here, find out who the people is.
Good afternoon, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
Mark Gerald, 1984.
Thank you. Was PD previously on this case? Well, he's actually got 2 cases. All right, public defender was previously appointed. Sir, you've been picked up as a result of failure to appear in 2016 CT 4401. There's a $500 bond on that. Additionally, there's a failure to appear on 2020 CT 4610. There is a $1,000 bond on that. Thank you.
Found out.
I'm sorry?
Jacob Barnes, mental health.
All right, public defender, you are appointed. Be waiving his appearance.
Yes, Your Honor.
Being charged with battery. Court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find there's sufficient probable cause. He does not qualify for pretrial release. To have no contact with Brooke Diaz, no contact with David Walker, and no alcohol, no drugs. Sir, you can approach the microphone. State your name and date of birth, please.
Isaac Butt, 05-2082.
Thank you. Sir, you've been picked up as a result of trespass on property after a warning. Public defender is appointed. Court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find there's sufficient probable cause. You do not qualify for pretrial release. Bond is going to be set in the amount of $250. You're not to return to 9435 Delgate Drive. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
May I have a moment, Your Honor?
Sure.
Thank you. Then I just need you to sit here. I'm good. Your Honor, this case did not have public defender assigned to it. Oh, okay.
It did.
He's going to enter into a negotiated plea today.
Okay.
So it wasn't previously, we weren't previously assigned, we were assigned today.
You were assigned today.
Okay. May I approach with the plea form?
But I'd prefer not to charge him the $50 for you to be assigned if he's doing a plea today. Okay. You can approach.
Thank you.
Is it AG or withhold? Court costs and no return?
Yes, Your Honor.
Sir, raise your right hand to be sworn, please. You solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Thank you. You can lower your hand. Sir, I'm holding a plea form in my hand, which appears to have your signature on it. Do you recognize it? It's the form that she just had you sign. Do you need to see it again?
I know what I signed, ma'am. Yeah, it's my signature.
Do you recognize this form?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you read it? Do you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it your wish to enter into a plea today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you're putting your hands up in the air. Do you want to enter a plea or do you not?
Yes, ma'am.
Is anyone forcing you to enter into a plea?
No, ma'am.
Are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol that would affect your ability to understand the plea in which you're about to enter?
No, ma'am.
This form contains numerous paragraphs, most of which tell you what your constitutionally protected rights are. Do you agree to waive your right to have a jury trial and a speedy trial and an attorney in order for the court to accept this plea today?
No, ma'am.
All right, I won't be accepting the plea. My previous ruling will stand.
You have it. Your Honor, we would just be asking if we could do an ROR on this case. It's a trespass, it's nonviolent crime. I know I've stated this yesterday. I'm just going to say this again. COVID is very much, the numbers are increasing in this jail, and we would like to release people if they're nonviolent crimes and simple misdemeanors.
So my ruling stands.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
That's my friend Cooper. That's my Cooper friend, Junior.
What's your birthday?
February 20, 1970.
Thank you, sir. Public defender is appointed. Sir, you've been picked up as a result of trespass on property after warning. Court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find there's sufficient probable cause. You do not qualify for pretrial release. Bond to be set in the amount of $250, and you're not to return to 830 South Orange Blossom Trail to the McDonald's.
Your Honor, would the court entertain a lower bond?
I've already lowered it, counsel.
Thank you. And your bond amount.
afternoon, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
Daniel Guzman, 05/16/1977.
Public defender is appointed. Sir, you've been picked up as a result of petty theft. The court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find there's sufficient probable cause. It appears you qualify for pretrial release. The court will grant that. You are not to return to the Orlando Star Bar, and you're not to have any alcohol or drugs. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
In Your Honor, he resides in New Jersey. Can we just have the same verbiage for court purpose that he can return?
Yes, he can return to his home state of New Jersey. Sir, you will have to come back for all your court appearances. Do you understand?
No problem.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
Richard Jenkins, the third.
Thank you. Mr. Jenkins, you do not qualify for the public defender based upon the application that you provided.
There's that.
You've been picked up for possession of cannabis and possession of drug paraphernalia. Court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find that there's sufficient probable cause. Bond to be set on count 1 in the amount of $500, count 2 the amount of $100. Oh, this is Miss Sweet's client? Yeah, we should probably call her. I mean, she could have come, she could have been out there.
So far. I can't. You already hired one. So I gotta step away. You, Mr. Lee.
Miss Sweet, are you there? Sweet?
Hello?
Oh, there you are.
Hi.
All right, we're on the Richard Jenkins case, appearance for defense.
Leslie A. Sweet.
Thank you, Miss Sweet. The court has reviewed the charging affidavit for the possession of cannabis and possession of drug paraphernalia. I found probable cause. Do you wish to be heard?
Yes, he has a lawful marijuana card. He has a marijuana card.
Okay. I don't have a marijuana card. I have no information before me with that.
They took his card. The police, as far as I know, took his card.
All right, well, Miss Sweet, you're more than welcome to file another motion with the trial court and bring that evidence before the trial court. But for today's purposes, I found probable cause. Bond to be set on count 1 in the amount of $500. Count 2, the amount of $100. Additionally, with regard to 21 CF 1704 and 21 CF 7008, the court will be revoking the bonds in each of those cases.
Thank you.
Set at 0. Thank you, Ms. Sweet. Anything else I can help you with today?
No, I appreciate you. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, you too.
Okay, bye-bye.
Good afternoon, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
Casey Renard Lee, 6/12/81.
Thank you, sir. Public defender is appointed.
Right, Your Honor, Mr. Lee would like to enter into plea today.
Okay. So do you want me to appoint you or no?
Right, Your Honor.
Okay.
May I approach with the plea form?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Sir, if you would, please raise your right hand to be sworn. Solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you. Sir, I'm holding a plea form in my hand which appears to have your signature on it. Do you recognize it?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you read it?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you need any time to speak with an attorney before moving forward?
I do not.
Are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol which would affect your ability to understand the terms of the plea in which you're about to enter?
No, ma'am.
This particular form contains 20 paragraphs. Most of them tell you what your constitutionally protected rights are, including but not limited to your right to a jury trial, your right to a speedy trial, your right to an attorney. Do you agree to waive those rights in this case in exchange for the court accepting this plea today?
Yes, ma'am.
If you are not a United States citizen, do you understand that by entering into this plea, it would be grounds for deportation?
Right.
Based upon the court's review of the charging affidavit, I find there's sufficient factual basis to move forward. Sir, I'm going to find that you are alert and intelligent, that you're entering into this plea freely and voluntarily, and the court will accept it. The terms of the plea are an adjudication to guilt, court cost, and no return to the McDonald's located at 6875 West Sand Lake Road. Court cost is $273. Sir, would you be able to get that paid in about 90 days?
Yes, I can.
All right, then the court's going to order it be paid within 90 days. Make sure you get it paid timely, because if you don't, the clerk's office will turn it over to collections.
Yes,
Do
ma'am.
you have any questions?
Do I get released today?
Yes, sir.
That's about it. Then have a good day.
Yes, sir.
Everybody dealing with you. I understand. Thank you, though.
Thank you. You have 30 days in which to appeal. Have a good day, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
Reddick Eric, January 6, 1986.
Public defender is appointed. Sir, you've been picked up as a result of battery. The court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find there's sufficient sufficient probable cause. A change. You do not qualify for pretrial release. Bond to be set in the amount of $500. You're to have no contact with Kimberly Abraham. No contact means no in-person contact, no third-party contact, no social media contact, no telephone contact, no contact whatsoever. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You're not to return to 7209 South Orange Blossom Trail. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You're also not to possess any alcohol or drugs. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, ma'am. State your name and date of birth, please.
Megan Valley, March 29th, 1991.
Public defender is appointed. Ma'am, you've been picked up as a result of possession of drug paraphernalia. The court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find there's sufficient probable cause. You do not qualify for pretrial release. Bond to be set in the amount of $500.
Your Honor, if I can have a moment.
Yes, ma'am. Counsel, we need to move on.
So I believe she's going to enter into a plea, Your Honor. It's a withhold in court costs.
For everything, huh? See, we have different rates down in Osceola. Okay. I think it's like $378 in Osceola for possession of paraphernalia. See, we have misdemeanors, and then we have drug misdemeanors.
So will she be transported then there? So, bond on that?
No.
No. Okay, Your Honor, she's just gonna take the bond. Option instead
So
of.
the ruling's gonna stand? Okay. She'll still be transported to Osceola so that she can do IEs down there.
I apologize. She's gonna be transported to Osceola?
She'll still be transported to Osceola so she can do IEs down there.
Yeah, so either way.
No, I didn't change it. I didn't change it. She's not gonna do a plea. All right, Miss Valley, you need to move on.
Yes, ma'am.
If there's that much consideration, we're definitely not doing a plea.
Right. I apologize, Your Honor, just wanted to have her understand.
I know. Afternoon, state your name and date of birth, please.
Gabriella Arrow, 102701.
Ms. Arrow, you've been picked up as a result of a warrant from Seminole County. There's no bond on that, so they'll be notified that you're here. Okay? Good afternoon, ma'am. State your name and date of birth, please.
Amber Brown, 72878.
Ms. Brown, you've been picked up on a warrant out of Jacksonville for writ of attachment of child support. There's a $750 bond on that. Thank you. Pull your mask up.
What's your question?
Thank you. That's what I'm trying to find out. Do I pay 10% of that or the whole thing?
The whole thing.
Because I don't know how I'm on child support and I've never gotten that.
The purge of $750. If you pay the $750, you can get out. Otherwise, they'll be notified that you're here. Morning, sir. Can you come on up to the microphone, please? Counsel, we're going to appoint you to represent. Will you be waiving her appearance?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Violation of domestic violence injunction and resisting officer without violence. The court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find there's sufficient probable cause. She does not qualify for pretrial release. Bond to be set on count 1 in the amount of $1,000. Count 2 in the amount of $500. She's to abide by all terms and conditions of the injunction. Not to possess or consume any alcohol or drugs. And then I see that she's got some other issues here. She's already out on bond for the violation of DV injunction under 21 MM 3670 and 21 MM 3383. Clearly, she doesn't understand what the injunction means because she keeps violating it. Both of those will be revoked and set at 0. Just abide by the injunction. Yeah, no drugs, no alcohol. That should be part of the conditions of the injunction anyway. Right, we don't have to worry about that because it's covered under the injunction. All right, sir, now I'm ready for you. Thank you. State your name and date of birth, please.
Michael Ford,
What's your date of birth?
12/26/1963.
Thank you. Public defender is appointed. Sir, you've been picked up on a couple of matters. The first one is domestic violence battery. Court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find there's sufficient probable cause. You do not qualify for pretrial release. Bond to be set in the amount of $1,000. You're not to have any contact with Yashika Levette. Do you understand? Mr. Ford? Do you understand no contact?
Yes, I'm trying to stay away from her. You've been following me. I have been following her.
All right, well, if you see her, turn around and go the other way.
I ran.
Second case is resisting officer without violence. Court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find there's sufficient probable cause. Bond to be set in the amount of $500.
I'm not going to be released today.
You have a,
Make bond.
didn't qualify for PTR. Call our office. Oh, our office too.
Counsel Goldsmith is medical. I'm going to appoint a public defender, at least temporarily. Do you waive its appearance?
Yes, Your Honor.
Grand theft, third degree motor vehicle. Court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find there's sufficient probable cause. I don't think he qualified. No, he definitely did not. Bond to be set in the amount of $1,000. And Mr. Goldsmith is part of that search warrant that was done, where we've got 50 charges of various possession of ammunition, possession of paraphernalia, possession of firearm by convicted felon. Are you challenging this one too?
Yes, Your Honor, same challenge.
All right, same ruling will be made. Court's finding probable cause. Bond will remain the same for each of them as identified in the charging affidavit rather than going through all 50. He's not to possess or consume any alcohol or drugs. He's not to possess any weapons or firearms. Have no contact with co-defendants. Did he have an out-of-county?
Yes.
He does? Should've been on top. Oh. Oh, okay. Wow. Well, if I had realized that, I would have made Miss Smith deal with it while we had Osceola on the line. Apparently, we have an Osceola charge as well. An out-of-county warrant for home invasion, robbery with other weapon, with a bond of $50,000.
Are we addressing that right now?
I'm sorry?
Are we addressing this right now?
I just addressed it.
Can we get a bond reduction on the $50,000, Your Honor?
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good afternoon, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
Good afternoon, Judge. My name is Lee Ben Perry.
Thank you, sir. Public defender is appointed. Sir, you've been picked up as a result of battery domestic violence. The court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find there's sufficient probable cause. You do not qualify for pretrial release.
Why is that, Judge?
No, you do not qualify under their guidelines, sir. You're to have no contact with Jennifer Lopez. No contact means no in-person contact, no third-party contact, no social media contact, no telephone contact. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You're not to return to 2350 South Conway Road. If you have personal items there, you can go back one time with the assistance of law enforcement to obtain your personal items. And bond to be set in the amount of $1,000. Thank you, sir. Well, then I will be waiving his appearance. We do not have an application on file for the public defender. If he wants one, he can fill one out. This is Mr. Thomas. He's refused.
I apologize. What was that?
It's a violation of probation with 0 bond.
Who are we addressing, Mr. Thomas?
Mr. Thomas, he refused. And I don't have any information for your appointment, so.
He's being held on a 0 bond?
On the violation of probation. He also has another case, possession of Xanax, possession of cannabis. Court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I find there's sufficient probable cause. Bond to be set on count 1 in the amount of $1,000. Count 2, the amount of $500. He's not to possess or consume any alcohol or drugs. And last but not least, can you state your name, please?
Sean Thompson,
Thank you, sir. What is your date of birth?
5th of July 1977.
Thank you, sir. Counsel, have you already spoken with him about this ordinance and entering a plea?
No, Your Honor.
Do you want to take a minute and talk to him?
Yes, I was just inquiring on that. Is he here for a VOP? I have him under felony warrants VOP.
I don't have anything on that. I
Oh,
have
this is
him
not-
for possession of alcohol in the street, sidewalk, or alleyways.
Yeah, if I can have a moment, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's been a rough weekend.
Your Honor, we would just be requesting ROR in this case. It is a very minor charge, and due to his job, he does not want to enter into a plea and have a criminal record. I believe he has no criminal history, so defense would just be asking for ROR so he can handle the case outside.
A public defender is appointed based upon the application that was filed. Court does find probable cause after review of the charging affidavit. He qualifies for pretrial release, so he'll be released on pretrial release, not ROR. Condition is no alcohol and no drugs. And unless my paperwork fails me, that is the last one. Court will be in recess until tomorrow morning.